Paul Kennedy. I'm a Star Wars costumer, part-time cosplayer, and a steel fighter for the Armored Combat League.
Hi, I'm James Hannon, author of Anatomy of a Cosplayer, Tales from Behind the Mask. I'm here with a good friend, Paul Kennedy, who is a 501st costumer and an armored combat steel fighter. And we're going to find out what all that means in a few minutes. You ready to go?
I'm ready to go. I wanted to be a Stormtrooper for Halloween a few years ago and started doing my research. I went to Amazon, started looking at the rubies, which looked really good on the internet. But the more I dug, I happened to message the right person about a helmet. And he got me involved with the 501st. I met Bro of the Northeast Remnant, the 501st Legion, and got pointed in the right direction from there. And the rest, they say, is history. The costumes I have are a regular clean white Stormtrooper. I have a Death Trooper in the works that was featured in Rogue One. I have a Darth Vader in the works from Return of the Jedi. I have a tan generic Mandalorian that I rebuilt from someone else's kit. I have a Nihilus from Knights of the Old Republic, which is one of the best video games ever made. Outside of Star Wars, I have a couple of Viking costumes from the TV series. I am working on a Yautja, which anybody that knows the Yautja are the Predators. And I've been told, just because of my size alone, I should get a Xenomorph. We'll see about that. Right now, I think my favorite costume, the one that I troop most often in, is my Stormtrooper, because it's the most nostalgic character. It's my first one that I ever built, and behind that is a very close second would be just obviously the Nihilus. The Nihilus is more flowy, and it's more the diehard fans will know who it is. I costume because it's fun. My parents can't tell me no anymore, and frankly, I love watching the reactions. I'm in my Stormtrooper, and some little kid stops dead in his tracks holding his mom's hand. Just drops his mom's hand and runs right at me, hugs my leg, and says, "Mommy, a Stormtrooper." The most important troops to me are like the Dream Lift, where you have underprivileged children, and they get flown to Disney for a day trip from here. We show up 5 o'clock in the morning, troop around, watch all these kids super excited to see us. Then they walk them out to a plane, they get on the plane and fly off to Florida. And that's the best troops that we can do, and that's why I do it. My worst costume experience was at my very first troop, the day I first put on my armor for an official troop as a member of the 501st Legion. It was for a Christmas event in Rahway, and it was me and 2 other guys, and my clean Stormtrooper armor, and Andrew is standing next to me. Next thing I know, I get hit in the head with something, and Andrew looks at me and says, "That was an egg," and takes off into the crowd, trying to chase the first down. I got hit with 2 eggs, my very first troop. For work, I'm a locomotive engineer for a freight train company. Long hours, never home, and it's everybody says it must be neat to drive trains as an engineer. It's a job, but I do it. I do the costuming as often as I possibly can, given my work schedule. I'm a musician, and got a lot of other hobbies. Outside of that, the biggest thing I do aside from costuming and work is I do armored steel combat, and I'm a musician. When I was 5, my father made me learn to play the violin, and I did it because I thought it was neat for a little while, and slowly but surely I grew to hate it until I got out of high school and found out that playing the violin was sexy to the ladies. So I started playing the violin when I was 5. I had been in several orchestras growing up. from the violin, I went to guitar for a little bit. I taught myself the guitar. And after that, I just, any instrument that I could get my hands on, I decided I wanted to play it. Armored Combat is a bunch of crazies get into real steel armor, steel and leather, put on a helmet, get a steel weapon like that, and we beat each other until we can't take it anymore. It's basically, none of it scripted. What we do is not scripted at all. We beat each other within an inch of our lives. It's a very, very fast-growing sport. It's not costuming in any real sense of the word because nothing we do is scripted. I guess you can call it a costume, but it's practical. The helmet here weighs about 25 pounds, and you're not going to hurt me with this helmet unless you have really, really hard swings. How I got into it was years ago. I really got into Vikings. Many years ago, I really got into Vikings, and I've always wanted to beat my brother with a stick. We did. We knights in shining armor. You know, you grab a stick, and that was your weapon. And throughout the years, I wanted to do it, and came across an internet video in the early days of YouTube of a bunch of Russians doing it, and I got sucked into watching these Russians fighting each other in armor. And I wanted to do that, and I found out, oh, this is only in Poland, or oh, this is only in Ukraine, or oh, this is only in Russia. Earlier this year, a television show on the History Channel came out called Night Fight. And it turns out the founder of the Armored Combat League lives about an hour south of me. I sent him an email, and we got armored up, and I started fighting for the league. Yes, people get hurt. No worse than your standard MMA fight, though. I mean, we're so covered in armor that the impact is diminished. I mean, you're getting hit with a 4-pound axe or a 4.5-pound pole arm. You know, it's not. You getting hit with an axe is getting hit with an axe, and although they're not sharp, they still hurt. Once, very early on in the league in the States, a guy was fighting with a particular type of gauntlets, what we call finger gauntlets. All the individual fingers are covered, and they're not like the big mitten kind, which is what we have now. And the finger gauntlets, I guess he took either an axe swing or a sword strike to his little finger, and it took his finger off completely. Lost his finger. That was in the very beginning. This stuff doesn't happen much anymore. I haven't heard of anymore. But other than that, that's no more than an average MMA fight. Lots of bruises. Lots and lots and lots of bruises. For myself, future costuming is I'm never going to stop. If I end up in a wheelchair, I'm going to turn that wheelchair into a TIE fighter. I don't care. I want to do this for as long as I possibly can. For the rest of the world, I think it's really going places. There are more and more people are really getting into it. I mean, look at the size of New York Comic Con or Dragon Con. They're absolutely enormous now. And a big chunk of that is people that want to come out dressed as a TARDIS or as, you know, some anime character that nobody's ever heard of, or No Face. You know, people, these cons are just the biggest thing now, and almost every single person there is dressed up as something. I love seeing kids dressing up in their costumes. And as long as people realize that we are just characters out of comic books and movies and cartoons and stuff like that, then it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. You know, there are a couple little hurdles here and there with weapons policies at events, but those generally work themselves out. But other than that, I think it's really charging forward, you know. A little bit of both. As far as my Star Wars stuff, for the most part, it's costuming. The difference between costuming and cosplaying, as far as I'm concerned, is one is a generic character that, like a Stormtrooper. Even in the movies, there's hundreds of them in the movies. Well, maybe not hundreds, but there's a lot of them in the movies, so it's not any one particular character. Now, if you played Finn from The Force Awakens, obviously you're a face character, and you should try to carry on the character as that. But as far as like Vader, when you do a Darth Vader, that is a singular character. And You don't want to walk around in a Darth Vader and not portray the character as seen in the movies. You know, I mean, you're not going to go out there and talk about football, you know, with the patrons that are coming to see you. So that would be more on the cosplay side. Taking on the attributes of a character would be more cosplaying, and just pretending being a character would be the costuming.